Truth Social, onto Twitch, any live streaming platform. You can just re-put all these big rooms, and put all the drama, all the gossip, all the hypnosis on other platforms. I mean, this app is like a zombie app. It's the same people. Bone, you're the only person with a new party hat, unless you're like a Free Palestine terrorist. There's nothing happening on this app. There's no new conversations. It's all roasts and beefs, but like if you can capture the roast and re-platform it, it's generally very funny. So you're basically in the comedy publishing business.
I understand. I like what you just put that. I ain't gonna lie, you just made a lot of goddamn sense. Oh yeah. And the thing about it is, now I know how I'm gonna do it. You just made it make so much sense to me just now. Comedy clips, reactions.
Hey guys, I have a question. Like, how do you record something on your iPhone while it's going live? I know
it's screen recording.
Like how?
You swipe down your iPhone.
Yeah.
You swipe down on your phone. You swipe down on the right corner, top right corner.
Yep.
And then if you go down, you see that little button. You see that little square button that look like a circle, like a recording button.
I think following Andrew Tate's because we're going to the Andrew Tate, how to brainwash your future life.
Oh.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Free Palestine from Hamas. Free Palestine from Hamas. I'm gonna block.
Нам интернет. Когда любой, по сути, пользователь может просто загрузить видео, а это видео посредством того, что массы будут его смотреть, распортится. И чем скандальней контент, так скажем, тем больше портится это видео. Это как раз разрешение происходит.
Вот этих видео и охват, он все равно минимизированный по сравнению, не знаю, с каким-нибудь концертом Ольги Бузовой.
Безусловно, но портятся они именно народными, так скажем, средствами, а не с зеленого цвета.
Не имеет, по сути.
Я с тобой немножко не соглашусь, потому что есть вот...
Most real conservatives, they hate tariffs. Tariffs are a really bad idea. It's like he said, it's a tax.
My mom used to say.
Exactly. The other thing is this really about jobs anyway? We have the least unemployment now than we've had in 50 years. Unemployment was basically taken care of with the infrastructure bill with Biden. So we're at a real low level of unemployment right now. It's not like we have high unemployment. We don't. Secondly, Trump doesn't give a shit about labor. He's in the next few months, he will have fired 500,000 federal employees. He's firing people. He's not hiring people. Where are these people going to get jobs? That's fucking crazy. He doesn't give a shit about labor.
Ben.
Anyway, I'll land there.
Let me tell you why you're wrong, okay? And I'm just going to go to the 5,000 foot level. I'm not going to take long on this. Just at a 5,000 foot level, I think what you're doing is you're looking at this from a very short-sighted lens.
Ben is mental.
We have that are criticizing the efforts that Trump is talking point. It's from a very short-sighted lens, and let me tell you what I mean by that. When a CEO, and anybody can on this stage, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with corporate America. When a CEO goes into a failing company, usually because there's some sort of merger or acquisition, they bring in a new CEO to right the ship. A failing, fledgling company.
Are you sitting on your phone?
Can you guys hear me okay?
It sounds like it's in your butt.
You're mumbling, babe. We can hear you, but it's like a...
Let me put my headphones in. I'm gonna be
Put your headphones in. Take them out your ass. Take them out your ass. Oh!
And you guys will recognize this pattern with what Donald Trump is doing. Number one, he fires the management. Completely removes the management. and replaces it with his own. Number two, he removes frivolous spending and inefficiencies. Exactly like what we're seeing him do. And the gentleman just now talked about 500,000 jobs cut from the federal workforce. That's the third component. Cleaning house. What you're seeing happening might look drastic and chaotic and potentially like dreadful to you guys in the moment. But what I see happening is a CEO coming into a failing company based on his metrics. You might not share that same opinion, but based on his metrics, he's coming to a failing company, and he's doing what every CEO, private equity firm, post-merger acquisition would do. They come in and they completely do a full clean house, and it creates renewed interest, creates renewed opportunities, new opportunities. And all I'm suggesting to you, Ben, is if you look at this from the perspective of corporate America, I know you guys say America's not a corporation, but if you look at it from that perspective, what he's doing is not that dissimilar than what companies.
No, he is because you don't hire Elon Musk, who has nothing to do with your industry, who brings in 19-year-olds who have nothing to do with the departments that they're doing. Elon Musk would not say, oh, you know what, I've got to cut down my labor costs. I'm going to hire some hackers from Apple to come in and just cut stuff when they don't even know what my company does. That's what they're doing. The fact is, what you're saying could be correct if they use the inspector generals, if they would have given the inspector generals who actually know the departments and know the people who they need to get rid of, instead of having a 19-year-old who doesn't know anything about government come in with a chainsaw and just cut people arbitrarily. It's like, you know what? It's fucking night and day. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, and the inspector generals have been there for what, 20, 30 years?
And the inspector generals have saved billions of dollars. The generals said no. The inspector generals have been extremely effective.
Yeah.
Extremely effective.
Yeah, that's
why
Alan, all of these organizations that are being audited are already audited. The USID was audited 80 times last year by outside organizations. It's so interesting that y'all don't know any of that part. Not by government agencies, they have to do this. This is already being done. You're just not having it done by idiots. And they're saying that they're doing it. All of these government organizations have to be audited, and I mean several times a year. If you don't believe me, you can look it up. I'll actually do it for you.
That's the outside agencies. That's not counting the sub audits within the agency.
Right. That's how it is.
You still have to audit every quarter, and that's just as an individual senior logistician. So, and that was from any dollar that we've spent, whether we were in Japan, Indonesia, Thailand, fucking even to assist AFRICOM. So we are doing sub audits to include contractors that audit us from the outside.
On every level. Hold on, let me just, I work with Medicare. I work with Medicare every year, 4 times a year, because I work with Medicare. I get audited by 4 different agencies. And this is one person. Everybody in my industry, that happens. That because we work with government funds. So I don't know why y'all think this is new and that Elon Musk is the guy that's gonna put his foot down. This has already been happening.
And you know why they're only doing 4 times a year to you? You know why they're only doing 4 times to you? Because the guy above you is getting audited.
Exactly.
We get audited, and it's just a spur of the moment. It's like a surprise piss test. You don't know what's happening. They say we need these documents within 48 hours. So the reason why we're auditing him quarterly is because we're trying to understand what happened during that quarter in case we get audited on that information. So don't think that the government isn't being audited. There's a reason why they know the numbers, because we have to fucking publish the numbers.
Yes, and there's a difference between audited to be making sure the numbers are right and being audited to make sure that those departments or those expenditures are actually needed. That's the difference.
But nothing has come out so far.
Determination is done internally with the federal
understand to teach Afghani women what disruptive art is? No, we don't.
We
That's
actually
one of the
do.
things they cut.
That's what that. See,
No,
that's
we don't.
so this is the thing, right? So you don't look at the bigger picture of the government,
Yeah.
right? So wait. So I'm just gonna explain something to you. There's a bigger picture when we do things like circumcisions, or we do shit like irrigation, or we do things like what you just brought up, Afghan government, or even if we did something like a woman's grant for fucking beekeeping mission in fucking Iraq. There's a bigger picture, right? You don't see what we get. You don't get to see the seat at the table you have. You don't get to see the resources that we get to extract from some of these countries because they're so thankful that we went to fucking Somalia. Not Somalia, but we went to Djibouti to teach northern and southern Somalians the ABCs of medical. Like, you don't understand the reach back that it gives, or the advantage it gives the Americans, or to fucking be the fucking consumers that they are. To have the shit that we have. No, obviously you don't, because you just said it's a fucking waste of money.
Right.
It's called investment.
Sorry.
But
Ben, the point is, this is the point I wanted to make.
What's the point?
Is that Biden borrowed what is $4 trillion of money we didn't have and injected it into the economy. He borrowed our money and our children's money in order to create this economy we have now. It's built on a house of cards, and we're going to have to pay for it. And that's exactly what.
And when Trump gives the billionaires their tax cut, we're going to have to pay. Who's going to pay for that $4 trillion?
I appreciate that.
I'd rather pay the $4 trillion. I'd rather pay the $4 trillion, and it's not $4 trillion. It's less than that. It's $2 trillion. I'd rather pay the $2 trillion to build bridges and to build roads rather than to give billionaires a tax break.
Alan, let me ask you a question. Do you know? Well, all right.
All right, look. Real quick.
Ben.
Okay, go ahead.
Alan, I got it. Alan, do you know what president raised the debt ceiling the most? Like ever?
I don't care. I want it lower.
Wait, hold on.
Yes.
It's not about you. It's not about you. You do know?
Why?
Do you know?
Who raised it the most?
I'm asking you. You don't know?
I'm sure.
Why don't get defensive?
No, I'm sure.
Okay. So because I'm just
say the name.
No, hold on. I have a dad, and you're not it. So because you're saying that you're concerned with budget.
That's such a passive aggressive gay thing to say. I have a daddy, but you ain't it.
That seems like something you would keep up with, and you're absolutely right. It was Trump, and it was his first.
He said, "I have a dad, and you ain't it."
Guess what? He did 60% of it before the pandemic ever even got here. How in the fuck, in 3 years, do you raise the debt ceiling more than any other president before or after you? So it's really interesting.
I am shit talking Ben Mendelsohn in the chat, calling him a neurotic, calling him mental, saying that Elon is a patriot, Trump is a patriot, Ben is a neurotic, and he's really exploding. Oh, Dr. Princessia has arrived. Our newly brainwashed former pro-Palestinian elevator drama queen.
I'm feeling much better now. My Jewish nurses were so good to me.
Do I know what it's for? No.
I love the Jews now. The Jews are my friends. The Jews are no longer an enemy to me or my people.
Who raised the debt ceiling the most, which is something that actually does matter. This shows you the motherfucker's not good with money.
Wait a second. Trump raised the debt ceiling.
Trump Quisha. Yep.
Nora was getting some, like, she was getting hit on by El Normo yesterday. He was, like, saying how it's such a sexy PTR. I'm like, have you not seen the video? She's a catfish.
No, they were trying to satisfy his presidential,
No, I don't think you can categorize it that way.
right?
It's seems to me the only bill the current Congress has passed is to keep the government going and keep their own salaries intact.
So you didn't raise the debt ceiling because of tax reforms? Is that why?
Okay, when you lower
So it's just Congress
taxes,
just making up shit and it wasn't
Patty, lowering taxes on the American people is not a tax cut for the rich, and it is not.
It was when you went from 31% to
You can't say
when he could have
if
went to
I am
28
going.
and then still been he still would have been.
Yeah, that's a
It would make
Democratic
competitive at
talking
28.
point. Sorry, that's a Democratic talking
No,
point. Cutting taxes on people does not increase the debt. It increases the debt because if you're going to cut taxes, then you have to cut spending. If you're working a job and you're making $100 a year, and then you're suddenly making $80,000 a year because you either get wage cuts or you change jobs, you have to spend less, don't you? And the other issue, which is, look, this is neither Democratic or Republican. Okay, this month, speaking of cars, you have to spend $5,000 on to get your car fixed. Don't the rest of us say, hey, I just spent $5,000 this month, I gotta cut back next month. Does the government do that? No, it just borrows money, it keeps borrowing money. So philosophically, just, yeah, if you're gonna complain about, say, Trump, fine, put the blame on Trump. Well, now he's reversing that. He's in charge again. Biden didn't do it. Biden, instead of saying, okay, Trump spent a shitload of money and we spent it on COVID and making all those payments to people so that the economy didn't collapse completely. Now that we're out of COVID, we gotta start cutting back. No, what did he do instead? He added another $4 trillion or $6 trillion, whatever it was.
All right, Alan, you should plan this plan.
Yeah, I'm done. That's it.
All right, so we need to debunk some things. First of all, Trump did not want to give the people the money during COVID. He was actually, like you said, Congress was the one who did that and helped that get there. But we can't, listen, the deficit in your whole complaint, I'm not even sure why you're going down that rabbit hole. You're saying that you want to, bring it down. But you gotta consider that there has been global, destruction. We've had storms, we've had earthquakes, we had the pandemic. So, are you saying that the government shouldn't be funding these things? I thought that's what America was made of. So when we talk about, it increased. Yeah, it increased because there was a need there. So it's like, so when we talk about taking it away, based off of the plan now, Elon is trying to, break it down. He said $2 trillion. Then now he's like, okay, well, we'll do $1 trillion, and I'm trying to get to 15%, and all this math and so on and whatever. Are you going to sleep better at night based off of what?
All this math, so on and so
Is
ever.
it okay for you not to have a job so that the deficit can come down? Is that the idea? You're saying they're going to bring back these factories, and you said it's thousands of people without a job. Are you saying that these factories are going to be the placement for these people to have jobs? Is that what you're thinking?
It's already there.
Well,
It's already there.
Let me answer.
Not enough capacity.
I'll be quick, I promise. Look, it's what I call the natural disaster philosophy.
Yeah.
Nobody asked for COVID.
Right.
Okay? So we can understand that, okay, this was a natural disaster. And that's the difference between Republican and Democrats. This is my view, is that Republicans will fund relief for natural disasters, but not for things that they feel have a choice. Okay, that's the first one. The second point is, look, in reality, and one thing that neither the Democrats or the Republicans have ever been able to address, nor have they tried to address, is the fact that everyone all labor is in a global market now. Why should I, if I have a company, hire an American if I can get the same, an American at $15 an hour if I can get somebody overseas to do it for $15 a day? Now, and they've refused to address it. Now, Trump is doing something. Do I think it's great? I don't know. Will it work? I don't know. But politically, in terms of a political message.
Well, let's slow that Trump down right there. Okay, so now, and you said both, right? You said both.
Yeah.
And Republicans.
Yep.
Would rather pay $15 a day versus them $15 an hour.
No, a business owner. Never mind. If I'm a business owner looking at my labor costs, that's what every business owner faces. It's like, okay, why should I?
Who raises minimum wage? Who raises it? Who does it? The government or the business owners? The business owners just say, okay, we're just going to raise the minimum wage.
No. Well, minimum wage is exactly that. That's set by the government.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you say that it's the company, I'm just a little lost.
Oh, okay. No, okay. In my hypothetical, okay. I start a new business. I want to make some product, backpacks. Okay, I need people to sew them together. And so I'm going to look at labor costs, and I'm going to say if I make those in America, I got to pay people $15 a day. If I send that labor overseas, in America, $15 an hour. If I do it overseas, it's $15 a day.
I'm with you.
Okay, so business, because we're in a global labor market, businesses will naturally gravitate to using overseas labor because it's cheaper.
Exactly. So that's where our brains are at a complete stop. Because if you bring the factories here, that means you have to pay the American people at least minimum wage and the bare minimum, right? And the bare minimum will then still bring extra costs, because if you're paying somebody $15 a day versus what is it, minimum wage, $7 or something? Yeah. So $7 an hour, you even give them the 15. I'm staying at the 7. Okay. If you give them that, then it's going to put more cost on the American people.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a lot.
Yeah. I acknowledge that, but isn't that the philosophical argument that we're having? That's why I went back to the garment workers. That we have been saying we would rather Americans not do the job so that we can buy products at a cheaper price.
Correct.
And we've been doing that for decades, and maybe, just maybe, it's time that we face the music of those choices. I don't have any answer to that, and I acknowledge what you're saying. Absolutely. We're going to pay more for it. Okay. Do I like it? No.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that's why, and thank you, because now we have a meeting of the minds. We're talking the same language. So when you ask the question, well, it's bringing back these jobs and so on or whatever, but how is that going to benefit? People can't even live off a minimum wage now. How? And then,
all hail El Normo, conqueror!
Your family and be able to live in an economy.
I'm listening to this politically correct room recording Ben Mendelsohn and other deep state patriots.
That's gotta be a treat.
Oh, he's totally neurotic. He's like cynic, but, the deranged, effeminate diplomat, cuck living in Europe. I mean, these people are mental.
His wife was a diplomat.
She's not even a diplomat. She works for the Foreign Service Office.
I thought she was ambassador.
No, she's not an ambassador. I looked it up. She's just a State Department employee. She works for, she's a career service Foreign Service officer.
For Brazil.
I don't know, but they're in Europe. Anyways, it doesn't make a difference. I don't think...
In Porto. He said he's in Porto, but I think she's a Brazilian.
Oh, yeah. Anyways,
That's
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, whatever. Like everybody, you make great points. You make great points, and I like when you correct me and you say, be nice. People are aspirational. Just be nice. Like you're a good. You're good at keeping it nice. And funny at the same time.
I have that ability. Thank you for what you're saying. That was from yesterday you're referring?
No, a couple times you're like, just be nice. Like, take it easy. Like, don't make personal attacks. It's a good reminder.
Thank you. I forget it all. You were saying that BB wasn't living up to his own ideals. Yeah, but first you express them, and then you spend your life trying to live up to the ideals that you've expressed.
Yeah. It's easy to
But
forget.
at least he has the ideals. So in other words, I don't think he's being a hypocrite. I think he just, and I think he's gotten better even in the past few days, actually, and weeks. Like, he's got this idea now. We're going to listen to the crazy people.
Yeah.
And let them hang themselves, and then, because we show them respect, they'll be cowed into reciprocating.
There's a double-edged sword to that, but honestly, this whole thing is a public speaking training seminar, and so, as Native American English speakers, we are essentially mirroring these international propagandists and actually helping them with their English communication skills. But the big thing is, really, I think people are just trying to become proficient speakers, and if you create a room and you mod it, you can project everything you want, but nonetheless, what's really happening is a lot of people are trying to refine their public speaking skills, whether they want to admit that or even acknowledge that, but that's what's really happening. There's just a lot of ESL training that happens here, and if you after action ready review or reanalyze a lot of the communication happening here, it's a total waste of time, totally pointless, and it's really just people passing the time. I mean, but
It's loneliness.
it's boredom. Yeah, it's boredom.
Yeah. No, it's legitimate, and I think it was really it got concentrated during the pandemic. By the way, remind me, my friend Trashback, who is that again? Because I ran into them yesterday. I recognize the voice. Now I forget who it is.
It's Jack Bruda.
So, El Normo, I filed to run for Congress in the 16th district against Darren LaHood, a rhino. And it only takes 10 minutes to literally file for Congress. So I was like, Zach, why don't you run for Congress in 2026? It doesn't cost anything. Just try it. I mean, why not?
I've been considering it. I have been considering it. Maybe that's the next step. Maybe that's the next chapter.
You gotta understand, it's all about communication and networking. Once you file, you will meet people that you would never meet before because you never took any action. It's an actual karma thing where it creates new potential opportunities for your future, and it doesn't cost anything to do. James down there, he filed, and he knows a lot of people now. So there's a lot of good people in the world where you're just like, oh wow, this is a solid human being. And you meet them by, doing things like this.
I mean, on the negative tip, I want to hear all those crazy things that Mendelssohn said, if it's good.
It's just it's the ladies chatting right now. This is essentially their reframe, but they really do they're really low IQ voters and low IQ participants, but this is their content. Like, this is a big room. There's 2.3 thousand chats, and it doesn't actually say the number of the people in the room, but these are big rooms. These politically correct rooms are big.
Where do you get the number of chats again?
It's just, tells you the number. See in the lower left, it says there's 4 in this room, 5 in this room.
No, I don't see that.
James says he's running as an independent now.
In the lower left corner of the screen, there's like a speech bubble that has 3 lines.
Dark Aaron says we are pathetic and unoriginal.
Wow, coming from a half man, that's quite the observation. A broken, virtue signaling half man with no real ideas or anything to say.
We didn't create a club that copies others. I mean, deep state patriots, there's a lot of patriots that work in the US government. They're veterans, they fought overseas, they went through the training, they live a clean life, and they're honest, hardworking American people who do not agree with the radical policies and spending that has happened. They administer the waste, they observe the waste, they see the hypocrisy, they know the fraud, waste, and abuse and bullshit that happens, at the government. It's really Congress and the Federal Reserve which is responsible for all this fugazi spending. I mean, you can say what you want about the wars in the military-industrial complex, but without Elon and seeing what's actually in the descriptions of these requisitions, you're like, holy shit, there's no oversight. Like, it's just, it's clown world. It truly is clown world.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's right or not, but Musk called it the greatest scam of, perhaps the greatest scam of all time, worth upwards of $1 trillion. Okay, I just have to say, I discovered the best pizza in the universe. A few days ago, I met.
Where is it?
Ellen B. Spumoni Gardens in Gravesend, Brooklyn. Oh my God, it's amazing. And they also have spumoni. And they actually stuck an extra slice in the box for me. And I'm telling you now, I'm eating up that
What's
slice.
the name of the place? I got fucking directions in my ear. Shut
Ellen
up,
B.
bitch. Hang on. Shut up. All right, what's the pizza?
Right. Ellen B. Spumoni Gardens in Gravesend, Brooklyn.
Ellen B. Spumoni Gardens Pizza.
I didn't say pizza.
Okay, Ellen B. Spumoni Gardens.
In Gravesend, Brooklyn.
All right.
Yeah. 86th Street. Damn, it's crazy good. And they have great, and it's a great scene. It's very deep Brooklyn Italian. Like, don't get into any arguments with anyone. And, it's like rocking and rolling. It's a real scene. I've already gone twice this week, and I'm eating up another slice right now for lunch.
I like pizza. I'll tell you where they have bad pizza, really bad pizza, is the entire state of Maine. I would say regionally New England, except for potentially Connecticut, if you define Connecticut as New England.
Well, Connecticut has great pizza.
That's what I'm saying. That's the exception. That's the exception.
Yeah, but Maine, look, man, you just go towards those docks and have that lobster that they just pulled out of the woman eating pizza.
Well, I like pizza.
Love pizza, but you gotta eat what's local, you know? In Maine, it's all about the lobster on the dock. Not to be contrarian.
Norm, I don't know if you saw the Doge Executive Committee interview on Fox News with Brett Baer, but you should watch that. I can pin the link, but it's unbelievable. And Elon,
Really?
yeah, we listened to it multiple times yesterday, and there's a part Elon actually says, like, you have to understand that the reframing of what Elon says in this interview is like, if you really contemplate it, you're like, holy shit. Like, there's a reason why all these people are so emotionally disturbed, because it really is catastrophic to their position. And let me get the link for you, but it's unbelievable. It's now at 5.2 million views. I encourage everybody in the room to click the link above and actually watch and listen to what Elon Musk says, as well as what all the other executives in this interview with Brett Baer say. These are all highly successful executives that have launched multi-billion-dollar companies, and these are the men that are essentially optimizing the federal government and creating communication between all the databases amongst all the agencies, rooting out $500 billion worth of fraud annually. 40% of Social Security card or Social Security disability recipients receive prank scam phone calls to do identity theft, and then they call the Social Security. They get a Social Security operator, a representative on the phone to switch the bank accounts. So you have millions of Americans subjected to these types of bait and switch scams and fraud. And so what they're doing is saving America. They're saving Americans. And Elon Musk in this interview says, timestamp this and let's look at it in the future, but he claims that all Social Security recipients will get more money because he's eliminating all the fraud, waste, and abuse in the system, which will allow more additional future payments. Many people will think all of this is propaganda, but I assure you, once you actually watch Elon Musk, in my opinion, he's very transparent and authentic. And I encourage you all to watch this video, because if you want to hear, the actual, what's the expression, El Normo? Like, news from the horse's mouth or something. I mean, if you don't rely on secondhand accounts or
primary source.
Yeah, this is the primary source. So this is it's unbelievable.
Do me a favor, delete the Jameson thing from the chat. He's some sort of monetary scam, like stock trading or something. Thank you.
Yeah, he's a long time
James, good
scammer.
luck to you, James. Is he still here? I focused on you. Well, he's not here anymore. I focused on you from the start, and I wish him luck in his aspirations.
Yeah.
I remember him years ago.
He said people come up to him and cry and say, I believe in you. I believe you. Like there's a lot of hurt people out there that are looking for authentic politicians who aren't just fakes and frauds and, mass communicator, hypnotists. I mean, you can't even get close to AOC.
Norm, you should run. Clubhouse for president.
Yeah, you should actually run too. Why don't you run for Congress, El Norm? I mean,
That's what Mark Rice said to me.
You really should, because you have the debate down cold. You're so good at communication. You even in the other room, you're like, I spent my life
You're a master debater. You're a master debater.
It doesn't cost anything. Run for Congress in 2026. George, what's his face, got into Congress from this app. George Santos, or what the hell is his name? I mean, he's going to jail, I believe. And he sells content on OnlyFans, but
He was on Gutfeld the other day.
What's his last name?
He was
It's a
from
Greek name,
Clubhouse?
right? Yeah, he's trans. He dresses up in women's dresses. He's a crazy person, but he got into Congress.
That's crazy.
He had to resign, I think, but he was friends with Marjorie Taylor Greene. The thing is, he was calling out all these frauds and fakes, and he himself was a fraud and a fake.
And he's still monetizing off of it.
He's an influencer now. This is what happens, is AOC is the head of the DNC and the head of the Democratic Party because she's a mass influencer. Mass influencer. But so is Tulsi Gabbard. So both sides have their influencers, but Tulsi is a hell of a lot more professional and classy and intelligent than AOC. Tulsi Gabbard is a major power in the sense of her professionalism, not just her communication and beauty, but she has crafted a very, very professional image of herself. But she was the first person to endorse Biden. She said, let's stop the hate and rhetoric and get behind Biden. It's like things have reversed. That this is politics. It's all alchemical and mercurial. Major reversals. Above is below, below is above. I mean, the world is in shock that Trump is the president, and this is, just March. Like, this party is a long party just getting started. And every day it's the Trump podcast and the Elon Musk podcast. I mean, brains are splitting and pumpkins are boiling.
It's so funny. I saw this comedian on Gutfeld the other day, and he was saying, if you went back 10 years ago and you told somebody that, Kid Rock was going to take Bill Maher to the White House to meet Donald Trump, and you'd say why? Because he was the president for his second term, like if you told somebody that 10 years ago, they'd be like, what the? Is everybody enjoying the movie?
It's not boring. And I'm not getting up to go have popcorn and risk missing something. We risk missing something.
How, you know, Elnor, you have a kid, like, you know, I know you say he's in college and like he's been on Clubhouse. How do you view Clown House or social audio and influencers as like the future of, I guess, the communication economy?
Well, as these things do happen, they've kind of snuck in and taken over, as you put it, communication or media by storm. And there's a whole section, there's a whole population of people who are even unaware that it's happening. Meanwhile, the avid consumers of media and products are already funding this, this disintermediated, individualized, democratized medium, social media.
I don't know if you saw this like spreadsheet that leaked of Democrat influencers and how they were paid to disassociate and essentially create propaganda against RFK Jr. But it's amazing how I have a friend that I went to high school with. His name is Tazvir Patel, and he has this company called Captivate, and it's a social influencer agency essentially, but also a tech platform. He's been very successful, and he's had other buyouts in the advertising industry. And the point is, it's kind of interesting how the influencers become their own neural and advertising network, which bigger companies like Google or Microsoft can distribute advertisements through. But there's this whole other level of, mind control, which is outside of branding or brand advertising. It's influencer communication, voting essentially, or sentiment, or resistance, or, if you have the money, you can create, you can manufacture dissent and foment anger. So that's like its whole other economy, but that's after the politics dries up. I mean, it's over. Once the election's over, like that money going to that network of people is completed. It's just a campaign. But the brand advertising is evergreen and it's calendar based. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud about how, what the flow of the communication economy is essentially.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you use the word hypnosis. And you go look at a lot of that social media, and even now people are using AI to just break down, to the basic, psychological or NLP or, whatever triggers people, and just using the AI to write stuff that, is clickbait or create AI pictures that are clickbait. I mean, it's also formulated. People can just dissect it using AI in 10 minutes and replicate it. So at some point, people are going to have to get bored of it because it's just going to all start to sound like the same shit over and over and over. Like it doesn't already.
reminds me of that movie Idiocracy. I mean, when you have, you know, a whole generation of people that can't focus on anything for more than, you know, 15-second short videos, then you've got a fucking major problem on your hands.
So if I see, oh, okay, listen to this. This is Ben Mendelsohn.
Costco to get those eggs.
Well, I'll tell you, eggs in Puerto Portugal are €2.50.
So
$2.50. Everybody should move to Europe.
23% is a.
Everybody should move to
But
Europe.
it's not 300%. Okay, so please, guys. I mean, yeah, 23%. But again,
Everybody should move to Europe.
we use more internet. We use more electricity. All these different things are going up because of the fact of the need for it. Supply and demand. The more you need, the more they're going to go up on the price. That's the way the world works. That's how it works. So that's just how life is going for us. Now, when we're talking about now adding I'm going to demand a 25% on certain things, such as cars, such as steel, and we're going to put tariffs on it.
El Normo, if you run for Congress, I will work as a campaign manager for you, and so will my friend Mark's son. So you'll have 2 free netizens to help you do more communication.
It does sound like
Trying to
fun.
make excuses
It's
for it,
like
but we keep on
the
living.
real world, as you suggest.
The thing is, you spend so much time communicating. This is just another overlay or a veil on this veil. So it's like, just imagine yourself as Batman or Clark Kent or Superman. I mean, you're already doing it. You might as well just make it more public and just add it to your campaign. That it's basically, it's automated campaigning. Like, this app allows you to essentially, in many ways, automate your communication and make it a lot less painful because it's more fun. It's not monotonous.
And you reach a lot of people that you don't know instead of talking about, what's it.
Yeah, it's essentially it's influencer politics, or the political influencer, and there's no downside to it necessarily. I mean, you're just building a Rolodex and a network, and everyone's already doing that. So might as well just make it public, transparent, and project it.
Every single product is going to be affected. And so in order to, it became Biden's problem because he just happened to inherit the seat. And Republicans love to pin those kinds of things on Democrats. But really and truly, the things that added to it was global inflation. Everything went up. So companies, even though it's 5 years now hence since the start of the pandemic, companies should now be price easing, but they aren't. Because you know why? Because they're greedy. And that is the problem. Therein lies the problem, where he's not making, Trump isn't saying to American companies, especially oil companies, bring the price down because they can afford, because they've had billions and billions and billions, multi-billion, hundreds of billions of dollars of profits over the last 10 years. He's not saying to them, and plastics affect everything, and where do we get plastics? From oil. So he's not saying to those oil barons, bring the shit down now. He's not saying, bring gas prices down now.
El Normo, let me ask you a question. How do you respond to people who say he's firing thousands of people, he's going to fire 500,000 federal workers, they need jobs, there's no jobs to replace those jobs. And just because we're $40 trillion in debt and we're trying to save money to pay down the debt and have a balanced budget, why in the world would you terminate these people from their positions? Like, how do you respond to that? Because
They're not productive. They're actually, they're anchoring the economy. They're holding the economy back. They're not creating anything. They're
The criticism is, though, isn't it hypocritical now to say they don't add value? But for 25 years we've ratcheted up 40 trillion in debt. But now you want to put Americans out of work and cause chaos in their lives? Like, why do that to our fellow citizens? Even if they're not productive, we're supporting Americans, and that money still flows to other businesses that these people are using money to spend on. You know, it's one giant source of origination of dollars, but to not give it to Americans is kind of unpatriotic. That's my opinion, but
What?
see, so the point is, like, we spend a lot of money in Puerto Rico supporting Puerto Ricans who aren't even Americans. Supposedly, they're, you know, I mean, they do have American citizenship, but what I'm trying to say is like, if we create fake money and we don't give it to ourselves, we're the ultimate suckers.
But what about all the citizens that are spending half of their income to pay for people who aren't doing anything?
The problem with saying that taxpayers are paying for people to do nothing is still not acknowledging the fact that we have a deficit, that we borrow and create fake money out of thin air through the Federal Reserve in order to pay for all of this shit that we're already $40 trillion in debt for. I'm just saying there's a primal argument which you will never hear, and even in this interview with Brett Baer, Musk many times goes into the creation of fake money and how we just create money out of thin air. But he doesn't bring that up here. There's there's no criticism of the Federal Reserve in Congress, and saying that the fact that we don't have a balanced budget, or some type of a mortgage sheet on paying back the debt. Like, you know, when you get a mortgage, you get a schedule of statement, or what is that technical term for the calendar? Anyhow, I'm just saying.
Fiscal calendar?
It's a fiscal calendar, but it's called a mortgage payoff table. And so you can actually see, you know, if you have a 30-year mortgage, like in month 10 prior to your final payment, like what's your payment then versus what is your payment 27 years out. So like if we can see an actual mortgage payoff calculation table of the 40 trillion and see this is the thing, is there's no real presentation. There's no real, okay, everybody, my fellow Americans, this is the financial crisis fully explained and what we're going to do about it. They don't do that. It's always ad hoc and piecemeal. So I don't really have a lot of faith. You know, I don't think Trump is going to actually lower the deficit. And I can show you an article right now on Drudge Report that says that government spending is increasing. So, I mean, we can pretend to be patriots, but until we're financial patriots, there's no patriotism. It's all smoke and mirrors.
How much was it that Apple is like the biggest investment ever? How much is Apple going to invest in building factories in the U.S.?
I have no idea. Let me Google that for you.
Billions or whatever, like the biggest investment ever. But it's not just Apple. I mean, Trump's already got so many companies brought. I think that the jobs that you're talking about, hopefully, will be replaced by all of these infrastructure jobs that are being, you know, put into place. He wants people to work. He wants people to have money, just not sit around and do nothing and get paid for it.
So we have Dark Aaron on the stage, who in the chat wrote that we're all pathetic and we're not original. So Dark Aaron, could you maybe expand on that thought?
He doesn't understand
Basically, he doesn't understand what a joke is. Fake Patriots going on a while ago, which makes this unoriginal. But then you understand what a joke is. You know, pathetic because, you know, folks are actually joke. So figure out what language, you know, and El Normo is filth too. But you understand what a joke is? Hey, Ron, Doctor. Do you want to continue the conversation? I want to
Yeah, I mean, we'll be happy to roast you. I mean, you don't understand that this is like a parody of their room.
No, I don't understand. You guys couldn't do shit to roast anything. You don't want anything. It is burning water. Is not.
We don't need to roast you. You're self-roasting right now, Dark.
You roast yourself. What a roast.
Dark is self-roasting. The barbecue.
I mean, listen, nobody's in this fucking room because y'all are lonely pieces of shit. And I'm just happy to remind you of that. But anyway, what
Projection.
piece of shit, bro.
Dark is projecting.
Hey, Ron.
You're projecting, Dark. He just wanted to get his dopamine off.
His delusion is strong, so they don't do wisdom.
Yeah, he's delusional. What's the difference between an illusion and a delusion? I mean, an illusion is basically trickery, transmitted to the audience. Delusional is like an internal vomit of one's disunity with reality or lack of awareness, mindfulness. I don't know. I think
that's it. I think you're right. It's internal and external. Illusion is created from the outside, and delusion is created from the inside.
I don't know. I see that there does seem to be a connection between mental health, or what you might call resilience, and political sentiment, but also based on choice of even career path. A lot of people think doctors are liberals and lawyers are conservatives, but really it's the lawyers that are the liberals and the doctors that are conservatives. It's an amazing reality because the whole thing is perfectly balanced. It's an amazing civilization in many ways. The fact that we are $40 trillion in debt and planning to go to Mars, and policing the world still, at the seas, and see, America's psychology or sentiment has shifted so much so quickly. It's like a miracle. Oh, we have Dr. Scott here, one of the deepest deep state members.
Parts of the world, China, and
Dr. Scott
is the biggest market.
Oh, there he is.
For helium. When GM was going through the bankruptcy,
I would like to know, excuse me, I would like to know if on the schedule for today's room is a lecture from Rabbi Dr. Norm.
They said, listen, y'all motherfuckers gonna have to cut some of these brands. You got to.
We'll be getting a history lesson on this lovely Lord's Day.
So we're listening to Politically Correct, and I'm going to break in some of the speakers there as I see them come live on the mic. Welcome everyone to the Deep State Patriots of Elon Musk. I encourage you to click the link above and watch Elon Musk and the team of Doge executives discuss cost-saving measures and database conversions and optimization. Matt Cool, welcome to the room.
Long time no see, bro.
What's up, Scotty? What's up? Christian, how are you? Dr. Wisdom is going to tell you to go to the gym and read a book.
I know. It's gonna come pretty soon.
That's great advice. I want to reiterate what Dr. Scott just said to everybody here. I encourage everybody to go to the gym today, lift some weights, do some cardio, touch your toes, do some yoga, do some deep breathing, and read a book and disconnect from this toxic app.
This morning, first thing, I jumped rope for about 8 minutes, and then
what he's going to end up doing is crashing one of these American car companies. That's what he's going to end up doing because they're already on their last leg. Think of a company like Chevy. They're not doing great, you know what I'm saying? And he's going to end up fucking them
up. By the way, I'd like to shout out to my friends Dominic,
which he's
and Mayor, several of my buddies.
Yeah, I would love for Meyer, the Quasar, to come up. If you're available, Dr. Meyer, we'd love to hear you walk through some doors, opening and closing doors all the time.
Just leave them closed.
Active boycott, like their numbers have dropped by in the 40 percentile in these other countries.
The best advice you'll ever get on this app is to delete the app.
No, it's to really go to the gym and read a book. I mean, this is a tool of projection. Guard your ears. Guard your ears. That's, because this is the land of the blind here. It's all about your ears and what you listen to. Be the master of your ears. and you will be the conqueror of Clown House.
No, bro. This is the spiritual dojo. We come in here to battle demons.
And what Justice said regarding getting somebody to do what they know and how to do it. Right now, I don't think that Trump weighs the cons in. He just looks at, here, I can go and do this. And think about all the pros and all the pros. But to every pro, there could be 5 cons to it. And if you aren't thinking and considering that, then that means you're planning on forcing someone to do what you want them to do. I'm going to force you to buy new cars. That's not America. That's not. Hello? Are you?
Hello!
Other cars.
Okay, so, that's their reframe. I don't understand it. Most of you work with people professionally. You understand people who are intelligent. I mean, we could keep going with that room, but the now is all important to the deep state patriots of Elon Musk. I encourage you all to listen to the Brett Baer interview with the Doge executives, because this is not just an Elon Musk initiative. There are other major professional executives that are restructuring the government. Founder of Airbnb, other executives, rocket scientists, other people that Musk knows and trusts, and they have a fiscally conservative attitude. And if you don't have a fiscally conservative attitude at $40 trillion, you are a traitor. You are a propagandist, misinformationist, political Marxist, history revisionist. You're not transparent. You're a liar. We can't spend money on any of these lies anymore. Those days are over. Transparency now.
People don't have to have a new car, but they do have to have a new washing machine or a new coffee maker or a new pot or pan or whatever you have made in China in your house, a TV, etc. And that would hit the American populace at a huge level and spiral our inflation out of control. That is what you really do if you're really trying to make something happen. But he's making a grandstand with cars, and cars is not it. Cars is not going to materially change our economic outlook. It's all posturing and smoke and mirrors and bravado. That's really what it is.
Why not? It sounds like shit. What the?
Is there some, because I've always heard 25% starting on April 3rd.
No, it starts at 2.5%, and then it goes up. I'll get you the actual numbers of the increments.
Is there something?
Start at 25%.
Was there something new or?
No, that's just because you've been in Democratic talking to you.
You're not getting back. No. That's not true.
Right now, I mean, it's clearly President Trump has announced the implementation of 25% tariffs on all imported automobiles effective April 3rd, 2025.
Yeah, don't believe easy.
A broad range of vehicles, including sedans, SUVs, crossovers, minivans, cargo vans, and light trucks. In addition to complete vehicle key automobile parts.
Dr. Francine! Oh, we've got a real collection of the deep state patriots now.
25% tariffs. What am I reading wrong?
TC, I want to buy a brand new car for $35,000, $30,000, not $80,000, $90,000. Like,
Can I say something real quick? We've just been talking about. We've been talking about it. All right. Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
TC, I want to buy a new car for $30,000, $40,000. With these tariffs, I cannot. Again, I'm not a
really have that. You're absolutely right, Matt. But I do want to bring in one thing that we didn't talk about, because we're going to keep on talking about inflation, but we haven't talked about wages. So I went back and looked up. So remember, it was 23% increase from 2020 to 2025. The increase in wages cumulatively between 2020 and 2025 was 28%, which means that people were earning more than that inflation rate. So you need to keep that in mind. There's both sides to this equation.
TC,
I find that hard to do.
it told me 2.5. Go ahead.
It is 2.5%. I'm trying to get the actual.
TC, you didn't make my whole head.
No. Firstly, it is 2.5%. It is 2.5%. Yes, I'll get you. I'm trying to get you the article.
Okay, babe. Go ahead. Hey, Rose.
Hi.
How are you?
Happy Sunday. I just wanted to put two of TC points together. He has a lot of facts about how Americans are in debt and how people are getting behind on their car loans and all this stuff. And then he has this long point about how this whole thing is going to work if we buy new American cars. Just put those 2 points together and the whole thing falls apart. Then a few other points, I have like 3 other points I want to make. One is that people don't want to work in these car factories. Americans don't want to do that because the wages are low and the car factories are being automated. And the negotiation for pay is weak. And the last point is that obviously we don't want to buy American cars. So this whole plan is terrible. And the very, very, very last point is that the way that the trends in industry in terms of what the young people want to do is not working in factories. That's not where the trend is going. And there's no study in terms of where is, the study of economics, the study of where are the trends, like everybody's moving to the coast.
So I just want to remind everybody that you're listening to low IQ dumb people talk about nothing and waste their time. If you click the link above, you will know that we are in an actual revolution, that these people are completely disconnected from the government. They're completely disconnected from commerce and industry, and they are not in power. They have no power. This is a hypnosis. This is a low IQ conversation about nothing with dumb people. Click the link above, and you can actually watch Elon Musk publicly declare on Fox News, this is a revolution. A revolution. And not many people are familiar with what a revolution is because not many people have experienced a revolution. A revolution is simply another word for, guess what? Regime change. Regime change.
It has about 20,000 people, right? Let's say we bring 3 large manufacturing plants. We're not going to get 60,000 people employed that are equivalent to the size of the Fremont plant. It's not going to happen. You're going to have people making 40 grand a year who are having to buy American cars that are starting at $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. This is ass backwards. Like, none of this, you can slice it and mold it and cut it any way you want to. None of the shit makes sense. So I'm just looking for someone to make it make sense because it doesn't. But go off.
It's gonna make the American worker that, first off, I think Rosalind was so right about like the average young person, black, white, green, blue, pink, they don't want to do this type of work. This is just not the type of society that we've built. It's just not where we've gone. And y'all can argue it and, say, I'm not saying that is not productive work, but in other places that she's right, like he just said, $21 an hour in California, that's not a living wage, bro. Like, that's just not, like,
Do receive their benefits.
Can you imagine doing that and having another
receive your benefits if the country is operating in a healthy and competent way. Up next, how the
So I want to play for you the part where Elon Musk reiterates the revolution. It's pretty interesting because I don't think it should be unnoticed, but you can click the link above and watch the whole thing.
consolidated financial report is produced by Treasury, and we cannot pass it on. We have material weaknesses. What that means is that if I was a public company CFO, I would effectively be removed. I couldn't file financial statements. I couldn't issue securities.
That's not what I want to play for.
Yeah, that's not.
Right, they to work, without which we're all doomed. And the reason we're doing going to
people, common sense wise, would say the fraud's got to end.
Yeah.
They're concerned about the 94-year-old mother who skips a check or somehow doesn't get what she's supposed to get.
Right, and what we're trying to say is actually that the 94-year-old grandmother is actually, as a result of Joe Doge's work, going to get her check. She's not going to be robbed by fraudsters like she's getting.
So FYI, I have an X room going called the Elon Musk Revolution, Donald Trump USA. These are really the Trump Musketeers, or Elon Musk Musketeers, and these are Trump patriots fighting an Elon Musk revolution. This isn't even necessarily the revolution of Donald Trump. In many ways, this is the revolution of Elon Musk. And I can tune you back into this room and you can listen to how deranged people are about Elon Musk. He is a mind virus meme which has infected the mind of the planet, and it is causing such an emotional disequilibrium that you are seeing mental health catastrophes real time.
Dr. Wisdom, can I just add this point as well, is this idea that Trump is just a precursor to the greater revolution that's going to occur. It's going to be crazy. I really do think like the midterms, a lot of people are going to go and vote, and it's just a stepping stone. Those are like my opinions. He's a precursor for crazier things to come.
This is just beginning. I mean, we are only in March. The date today is March 30th, 2025. This barbecue.
They have an accelerationist mindset.
They
want
do.
to do as many things as possible, as soon as possible, and they want to do it now. Who cares?
The now is all important. Who cares? Exactly. The now is all important. Welcome, Anne. Okay, I'm going to play a little bit more of this Musk.
Hi.
Solvency of the federal government will ensure that she continues to receive the Social Security checks, that Medicare continues to work, without which we're all doomed. And the reason we're doing this is because if we don't do it, America's going to go insolvent, going to go bankrupt, and nobody's going to get anything.
Why are you guys all doing it?
So that's a big claim right there, that we will go bankrupt and nobody will get anything. See, that needs expansion by Musk.
So, Dr. Wisdom, he talked about like how there was 14 computers that were just printing free money. Like there was no, in the accounting, there was no, that's what I heard. That just 14 computers giving free money to whoever was asking for it.
Welcome, John. We're listening to the Elon Musk Brett Baer interview.
I mean, you could pipe up, but you don't have to be here, right? I mean, you don't have to be doing this.
I have four beautiful children, my wife and I. But we have a real fiscal crisis, and this is not sustainable. And what's worse, back to my children, everyone else.
Oh, wait, let me bring you Ben Mendelsohn talking about the fiscal crisis.
What we're told as opposed to what's real. Because the numbers are not that drastic. Unless you look minimum wage, which is a completely different story.
I saw this video by an economist who talked about when we switched over to the fiat system back in or switched from the fiat system back in the 70s. And he said that wages have not kept up with inflation over time, annualized over time from then till now, and that in fact we are working at a 20 or 30% deficit, I want to say he said. And the real issue.
Okay, back to reality.
Is we are burdening them with that debt. And it's only going to grow.
See, there's not a lot of hierarchy here. You guys are kind of all approaching it in different, silos, but with the same kind of goal. right? I mean, this is really Silicon Valley, private sector colliding with government.
Yeah, exactly. We're headed in a bad path, but then the chance of success exists. And just the one that just is in my head right now, which is a fairly mundane one, but I think is very illustrative, is credit cards. There are in the federal government around 4.6 million credit cards for around 2.3 to 2.4 million employees. This doesn't make sense.
Right.
And so one of the things all of the teams have worked on is we've worked with the agencies and said, do you need all of these credit cards? Are they being used? Can you tell us physically where they are?
I hope they're getting frequent flyers.
Actually, on a different note, the rewards program the federal government has is actually not very good. That's a whole other negotiation. Sure, yeah, exactly. But so far the teams have worked together and they've reduced it from 4.6 million to 4.3 million. So we're taking it easy. Yeah.
This is a very extensive interview. They go into major problems with the federal workforce, from retirement taking 9 months. The head of Airbnb is going to try to reduce it to 5 days. So they are trying to limit the spending in government by removing as many employees as possible.
Are you suggesting that our government, general middle-level employees, are they seeing the benefit to being empowered by taking out bureaucracy? I mean,
absolutely. I mean, I think what you're seeing is taking the best of Silicon Valley and the business world and bringing it into the government. We're bringing the best practices and the best methodologies, and people are inspired, right? Especially on the retirement process, which I can speak to. They've been trying to modernize and get off the paper since the early 2000s. Very unsuccessfully. Every town has gone over budget and been canceled because
Yeah, thanks, Obama.
Has been successful. And so
Barry Soratoro.
You know, I showed up and I feel like I'm here because it's an interesting problem. We can use design to solve it and good engineering and really create a better experience for everybody.
We're talking about elementary financial controls that are necessary.
This part is terrifying. And
the free magic printers, right? The free computers that are giving out free money. Is this what Elon Musk is going to say?
they're talking about the one bank account at Treasury, which holds the entire national budget in its one account. But what he's saying is there's absolutely no analytics or tracking on the spending. And that the big one with Department of Interior, not all the way through the whole system, but the Department of Interior one is unreal. And all this has to do with is presidential supervision, meaning that the Autopen and Joe Biden, the zombie, had absolutely no clue what was happening, nor did he really give a fuck.
For any company to function. So if the federal government...
See, the now is all important. Everybody is on an expiration clock, and I can tune you back into the politically correct room, but everyone in this room is also subjected...
Is this live, the politically correct?
Yeah, they're live right now. The point is, we are all in the same boat, and these people are delusional. They don't realize that we're in the same boat. They think... Listen, just listen.
React to what Trump says about tariffs. It is...
Many of you know this loser who keeps talking about tariffs. His name is Matt Pavedo. Good Grief, Good God Show.
Doctor, can I ask you, is there any truth to the rumor that the deep state and Ben Mendelsohn are so effective in the resistance that they're being surveilled by the FBI?
I have no doubt that the FBI is listening to their traitorous commentary.
If a commercial company
The most powerful form of resistance on Clubhouse.
bankrupt, it would be delisted, the officers would be arrested. And the changes we're putting in place will enable the federal government to pass an audit. It will enable taxpayers to know where the money is going and know that their hard-earned tax dollars are being spent well. But the ways that the government is defrauded is that the computer systems don't talk to each other. So if the computer systems don't talk to each other, then you can exploit that gap. And fraudsters exploit that gap, take advantage. If, for example,
this video came out 2 days ago on Fox News. It now has 5.1 million views. That's a lot of views.
There were over $300 million of Small Business Administration loans that has been given out to people under the age of 11.
Well, blockchain to add to it's 300 million under the age of 11 and over 300 million to over the age of 120.
Definitely
small business loans, correct?
Yes. The oldest American.
So that means the Small Business Administration has been scammed and duped by almost $1 billion. But that is nothing. There are trillions of dollars which have been looted.
SBA loans, right?
It's 114. So it's safe to say if they're aged 115 or above, they're fake. Well, they should be in the Guinness Book of World Records. And we should not be giving out loans to babies. So the youngest recipient of a Small Business Administration loan is a 9-month-old, which is a very, very precocious baby we're talking about here. So obviously it was just fraudulent. And they do terrible things. They actually will see that a kid's been born. They will steal that kid's social security number and then take out a loan and leave that kid with a bad credit rating. There's literally a baby. The terrible things are being done is what we're saying. And how we're stopping these terrible things.
And you can't stop it? I mean,
well, if we are stopping it.
The reason this is happening is because the two systems are not talking to each other.
Yes.
Right.
It's not just 2 systems. It's like 30 systems. The FBI, the Social Security Administration. But the big system that is not going to be integrated, does anyone know? Anyone? The Federal Reserve.
No.
And so you don't know at the Small Business Administration that you're giving a loan to a 9-month-old, which happened in one case, because you're not cross-referencing that with the Social Security Administration data that has birth dates. So that very, very subtle fix eliminates tremendous harm. And that there are multiple systems across the government where the systems are not speaking with one another. And if you just solve that simple problem, you would solve a huge amount of fraud.
Are you surprised? Like one of the key tricks that the fraudsters pull is that they will use the fact that someone is marked as live, as sort of just that social security number is marked as live in Social Security, and then get disability and unemployment insurance for a dead person. Because the databases don't talk to each other, all they got was from Social Security is like, is this person alive? Yes, they're not alive. It's falsely marked. Person is falsely marked as alive in Social Security. But they didn't. But that fraudster can now get unemployment and disability from a dead person. This is happening all the time at scale.
Are you?
This is the biggest secret of 2025, and they don't want you to know about this.
If you get injured in an accident, even as just a passenger, no one knows this, but you can turn that accident into tens of thousands, or in my case, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So
So
some Jewish stuff right there.
that's the irony. It's like as we're watching a video about Elon Musk explain scams to us, we're subjected to a Google ad scam.
The legal
Doctor, can you answer the rumor that Ben Mendelsohn is actually collecting Social Security and unemployment from 3 Social Security numbers in his embassy house?
challenged by the DOJ. Are you surprised by that?
The real
Well, it's the DC Circuit is notorious for having a very far left bias. And when you look at the people close to some of these judges, where are they working? Oh, they're working at these NGOs. Oh, they're getting them.
Have you guys ever heard of the protocols of the
Does that seem
Elder
like
Society?
a system that lacks corruption? It sounds like corruption to me.
Last thing, do you guys all see this as a patriotic duty? Is that really what this is about?
I don't buy it.
I do,
you know,
100%.
I feel like that's the leftist.
I was running 5 businesses in Houston, and I left that. I left great people to do this, and my wonderful wife said, "Go for it," and here I am. But I feel like this is me giving back to the country. If we don't do this, we're sunk. The ship, unless this exercise is successful, the ship of America will sink. That's why we're doing it.
Well, gentlemen, I really appreciate the time today, and hopefully it took some of the myth and mystery out of Doge and what's happening behind the scenes.
Thank you.
We asked on X, your platform, for some questions, and here is C. Sperling. He writes, are they happy with the speed at which they're making changes? Are there any changes they would like to make but haven't yet?
Well, I think in the context of the government, we're moving like lightning. In the context of what I'm used to moving, it's slower than I'd like. what seems like incredibly fast action by government standards is it's slower than I'd like, to be totally frank. But we are making solid progress. A very sort of thorny problem, a tough problem, really it's kind of like painful homework, frankly, is reconciling all of the government databases to eliminate the waste and fraud. These databases don't talk to each other, and that's really the source of that's the biggest vulnerability for fraud, is the fact that these databases don't talk to each other. So we need to reconcile the databases. It's a frankly painful homework, but it has to be done, and will greatly improve the efficiency of the government systems.
We didn't talk about any plans to approach cuts at the Pentagon. You're in there.
You know, the Pentagon has not passed an audit in a very long time. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, they will lose $20-30 billion a year, and they don't know where, they literally don't know where it went. I mean, Senator Collins was telling me about how she gave the Navy $12 billion for extra submarines, got 0 extra submarines, and then when she held a hearing, said, where'd the $12 billion go? They didn't know.
Talking to those guys, and you have a great team from all over the country. You don't have to be here. You don't have to be here. You know, there's now been these many cases of violence and vandalism at Tesla dealerships. How does that affect your employees, your customers? What does it mean to you? Like, how have you taken that in?
Well, I think a great wrong is being done to the people of Tesla and to our customers. I mean, Tesla is a peaceful company that has made great cars, great products. That's all it's done. Hasn't harmed anyone. And yet people are committing violence. They're firebombing Tesla dealerships. They're shooting guns into stores. They're threatening people. They're issuing death threats against me and other Tesla personnel. What are they doing this for? Why? And what's happening, it seems to me, is they're being fed propaganda by the far left. And they believe it. It's really unfortunate. But the real problem is not the people. It's not like the crazy guy that firebombs a Tesla dealership. It's the people pushing the propaganda that caused that guy to do it. Those are the real villains here, and we're going to go after them. And the president's made it clear we're going to go after them. The ones providing the money, the ones pushing the lies and propaganda. We're going after them.
You hear that? I want to go back to the beginning of this interview where he declares that we are in a second revolution.
We learned 40% of the phone calls that they get are from fraudsters.
40%?
That's right. Almost half.
Yes, and they steal people's social security is what happens. Is they call in, they say, they claim to be a retiree.
Let me bring you back to politically correct real quick.
Kick him out of office, man.
But Matt, you've said many times before, though, you're that guy, you're the martyr who's like, you know what, I don't need it. I don't need my Social Security. You can keep it. Never mind the millions of others who rely on it, we've all paid into it. But your theory for that is, well, you know what, I'll keep it. Like, missing Rosalind's point. I heard that. No.
And they convinced the Social Security person on the phone to change where the money's flowing. It actually goes to some fraudster. This is happening all day, every day. And then somebody doesn't receive their Social Security. It's because of all the fraud loopholes in the Social Security system.
How do you reassure people that what you all are doing is not going to affect their benefits?
No, in fact, what we're doing will help with their benefits. Legitimate people, as a result of the work of Doge, will receive more Social Security, not less. I want to emphasize that. As a result of the work of Doge, legitimate recipients of Social Security will receive more money, not less money.
All right.
I want to emphasize that point and let the record show that I said this, and it will be proven out to be true. Let's check back on this in the future.
So he wants to timestamp and find out if legitimate recipients will be receiving more money. Let's see what politically correct is saying.
They said, wait a minute, Matt, listen to me. They said the people who complain are the fraudsters.
they said. That's a direct quote. So how would they kick him out if that's what they believe?
She's talking about PayPal.
This is so stupid. People in see the revolt in this country. Is this a current deep state room going on right now?
No, this is politically correct. This is Matt fucking retard. His mic is so bad. If you can't actually hear me, you know, and you come on this app and you talk, but nobody can hear you, what is the point?
These are the biggest
This is Scotty.
cowards I've ever seen in elected office.
But he's saying that that will be their breaking point. That will be their
Well, geez, I haven't seen any evidence.
This is Scotty, New York City, Village Scotty.
That might not be their interest. But this here might be an eye-opener, like, oh shoot, the Democrats been right. Oh God, let's get this guy out of here. He's lost his mind.
Scotty's got the gay flag, the music, and the world as his emoji choice.
That's what he's thinking.
It's a gay world playing music.
And what I'm saying is that all of that is lies. I don't believe that he's thinking that. I don't believe that any of that stuff. This is just another lie from the pit of hell. And by pit of hell, I mean Republicans. You don't think that, man? There's no way that you can think that. Not with the evidence that we have from January 6th, from how these people have acted all the way up until now.
This is just 10 times. Just 10 that time. He says he's mean. I'm mean!
Shockingly, is Mitch McConnell. And the only thing he said is tariffs are dumb. They're not going to push back on shit. They're going to do exactly what he, and so are y'all. And whatever he says, whatever way he blows, y'all will find an excuse to make for it.
Washington Post, the Social Security Administration website crashed 4 times in 10 days this month because the servers were overloaded, blocking millions of retirees and disabled veterans from logging into their online accounts. Freaked people out. Is that going to change?
Yes, we're going to make sure that the website stays online.
Yeah. I mean, but is it a result of going in there or something you're doing?
The amount of issues that were the Social Security system are enormous. As an example, there are over 15 million people that are over the age of 120 that are marked as alive in the Social Security system.
And that's an accurate figure.
Yeah, correct.
15 million.
Correct. This has been something that's been identified as a problem. Again, pre-existing problems since 2008 at least from an IG report. So there were some great people working in Social Security Administration.
So for the past 7 years, they've been paying out benefits to over 15 million people that do not exist.
Found this 2008, and nothing was done. And so 15 to 20 million.
But they're not specifically saying that. They're saying there's 15 million accounts over this age bracket. But I want to really find the revolution part, because this is the part that I think everybody needs to realize and integrate into their mind, which these people in politically correct will never integrate because they live on the moon. They live on a different planet than reality. So let me bring to you the voice of Elon Musk declaring a second revolution. He's reframing it. This is a mass distribution video. Whether you hear it or you don't hear it, this is essentially the real reframe, because this is who's actually in power. Not Ben Mendelsohn, not Patty, and not Just, who says Republicans are from the pit of hell. He's projecting. Everything is a projection. Everything.
But you're finding the money. I mean, it's big numbers, right?
Yeah, well, like Elon said, the minimum impulse bid is often $1 billion. So for example, the $830 million, which was the online survey, that's an enormous amount of money that wouldn't have been found if the Doge team wasn't working with it, in that case the Department of Interior. But then taking it one step further, Doge then publishes these things on our website for maximum transparency. So now the general public, it would have been impossible for the general public to have seen that. Now anyone can just log into Doge.gov anytime and see these payments. As they're not yet in real time, they're close, but they'll probably be in real time within the next few weeks.
But the process, it still involves Congress, right? At some level.
We're trying to keep Congress as informed as possible, but the law does say that money needs to be spent.
You hear that? We're trying to keep Congress as informed as possible. This is What they are doing has never really been done before, and this is why it's truly a revolution.
Correctly, it should not be spent fraudulently or wastefully. It's not contrary to Congress to avoid waste and fraud. It is consistent with the law and consistent with Congress, and we've seen actually great support, at least from the Republican side of the House, and occasionally some Democrats too. It's nice to see people cross the aisle once in a while,
Oh, hi, Dr. Brent. We have a high Q achiever here. Clown House hero, real world zero, Dr. Brent.
When they attack Doge, they never attack any of the specifics. So they'll say what we're doing is somehow unconstitutional or legal or whatever. We're like, well, which line of the cost savings do you disagree with? And they can't point to any. And we list them all on Doge.gov and the Doge handle on X. And you'll see just outrageous things, one outrageous thing after another.
Joe Gabbia, besides Elon, you're one of several billionaires here, co-founder of Airbnb, and you wanted to help out.
I bumped into Anthony and Elon probably back in February, and they told me something about a mine that was dealt with retirement, and they said that he's somebody to help.
Okay, I want to get back to the beginning. Brent, is there something you want to say real quick before I get to the revolution part?
No, I mean, I totally agree it's a revolution.
Sure,
if you essentially kill the power of Congress to say execute funds in this way that I appropriated, and you
thanks for having us.
To tell the executive that you don't have to do that, that's 100% a revolution, and that we'll see it. I doubt it will hold up to the court.
You confirmed it. It's a revolution.
There's a lot of interest in this. First let me start with you, Elon. What are the budgetary savings goals, and how much do you think you've achieved so far?
Our goal is to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion. So from a nominal deficit of $2 trillion, to try and cut the deficit in half to $1 trillion. Or looked at it in total federal spending to drop the federal spending from $7 trillion to $6 trillion. We want to reduce the spending by eliminating waste and fraud.
So there's 2 points. One, drop the deficit by $1 trillion, and drop the national debt, and drop the annual deficit by $1 trillion each.
We'll reduce the spending by 15%.
And how much do you think you've achieved so far?
Our goal is to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion.
Okay, so deficit by $1 trillion.
So from a nominal deficit of $2 trillion, to try and cut the deficit in half to $1 trillion.
So nominal from 2 to 1. So we're still operating at $1 trillion deficit.
Or looked at it in total federal spending to drop the federal spending from $7 trillion to $6 trillion. We want to reduce.
So $7 trillion to $6 trillion.
The spending by eliminating waste and fraud, reduce the spending by 15%, which seems really quite achievable. The government is not efficient, and there's a lot of waste and fraud. So we feel confident that a 15% reduction can be done without affecting any of the critical government services.
I want to talk to all the guys.
Making it better.
I'm going to talk to all the guys here about the specifics, but for you, what's the most astonishing thing you've found out in this process?
The sheer amount of waste and fraud in the government. It is astonishing. It's mind-blowing. We routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion or more, casually. For example, like the simple survey that was literally a 10-question survey that you could do with SurveyMonkey, cost you about $10,000. The government was being charged almost $1 billion for that.
For just the survey?
$1 billion for a simple online survey. Do you like the national park? And then there appeared to be no feedback loop for what would be done with that survey. So the survey would just go to nothing. It was like insane.
You technically are a special government employee, and you're supposed to be 130 days. Are you going to continue past that, or do you think that's the...
Little Trump in the house!
What you're going to do? Or?
Well, I think we will have accomplished most of the work required to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion within that time frame.
So in that time frame, 130 days. And the process is a report at some point, at 100 days? Or?
Not really a report. We are cutting the waste and fraud in real time, so every day that passes, our goal is to reduce the waste and fraud by $4 billion a day, every day, 7 days a week. And so far we are succeeding.
and we're going to talk to the specifics, but there obviously are Doge critics who are reading all kinds of stuff. Obviously, lawmakers on the other side of the aisle are attacking you, and they characterize the approach as this: fire, ready, and then aim. And how do you approach that? How do you respond to that?
Well, I do agree that we actually want to be careful in the cuts, so we want to measure twice, if not thrice, and cut once. Actually, that is our approach. They may characterize it as shooting from the hip, but it is anything but that. Which is not to say that we don't make mistakes. If we were to approach this with the standard of making no mistakes at all, that would be like saying someone in baseball's got to bat 1,000. That's impossible. So when we do make mistakes, we correct them quickly, and we move on.
Some people say this shouldn't take a rocket scientist. Steve Davis, you are a rocket scientist. You used to be. Yeah, I know. And now essentially you're the chief operating officer of Doge. Day-to-day operations. Fair to say?
Yeah, part of the Doge team.
So how did you end up here? What's the biggest challenge you see?
The reason I'm here, just probably for many, is that I think the goal is incredibly inspiring. I think most of the taxpayers in the country would agree that in order to have the country going bankrupt would be a very bad thing, and therefore the country going not bankrupt is a good thing. That all of us are willing to kind of put our lives on hold in order to do. I think the thing that's special right now is we actually believe there's a chance to succeed. That there's an administration that's supportive and a great cabinet and just a great group that will actually make success a possible outcome. And I think that's, given the inspiring mission and given the non-zero chance of success, it was worth doing.
Yeah, I'd just like to sort of re-emphasize that point. The success of Doge is only possible with President Trump and with the outstanding cabinet that he selected. It would be impossible without the support of the president and the cabinet.
But you're finding the money. I mean, it's big numbers, right?
Yeah, well, like Alan said, the minimum impulse bid is often $1 billion. So for example, the $830 million, which was the online survey, that's an enormous amount of money that wouldn't have been found if the Doge team wasn't working with it, in that case the Department of Interior. But then taking it one step further, Doge then publishes these things on our website for maximum transparency. So now the general public, it would have been impossible for the general public to have seen that. Now anyone can just log into Doge.gov anytime and see these payments. As they're not yet in real time, they're close, but they'll probably be in real time within the next few weeks.
But in the process, it still involves Congress, right? At some level.
We're trying to keep Congress as informed as possible, but the law does say that money needs to be spent correctly. It should not be spent fraudulently or wastefully. It's not contrary to Congress to avoid waste and fraud. It is consistent with the law and consistent with Congress, and we've seen actually.
What we're doing is what any household would do. But imagine you're a household, you have a bank account, everyone has an ATM card connected to that account, everyone has a checkbook connected to that account. It's not just your children, it's not just your parents, it's your in-laws, it's your extended family, and they all can go to the account and disperse funds. No questions asked, no justification, no verification.
Up next, the Doge team targets government contracts, and we'll show you what they're finding. Tyler Hassan, Interior Department, you're a former oil company CEO. You're reviewing contracts before they're approved for funding. What are you finding?
Well, Elon and Steve kind of stole my thunder a little bit, but I actually found that customer service survey contract. I actually have an example of one right here. I could have done this in high school. And I found it on the weekends because under the Biden administration, there was no departmental oversight within the Department of Interior whatsoever. None. We are now...
No oversight at all.
In a controversial new bill that just passed aimed at making America healthy again, all 50 states
Margot
are reviewing every single contract, every single grant, and when things come to my attention that don't make sense, I'm bringing them to Secretary Burgum, and he's been fantastic. He's a businessman. He's very supportive of Doge. It's been wonderful to work with him.
Okay, let me take you back to politically correct to delusional people.
In a rural state. How does that logically make sense?
You can't live $21 in California.
But not even fuck all that. What company? What would you show me? Show me a Home Depot in California that pays the same as a Home Depot. You know, any company, show me any company that pays their workers the same for the same job in Cali that they do in Mississippi.
I'm going to tell you, it's called the UAW.
I live in Cali.
It's been a battle between government of decades and decades of buildup and business, which you guys are. Is that like a train hitting each other? I mean, it seems like it's pretty disruptive.
Well, this is a revolution.
Ooh, we finally found it again. Well, guess what? This is a revolution.
Might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution.
The biggest revolution since the first revolution. So this is the second revolution of America.
But at the end of the day, America's going to be in much better shape. America will be solvent. The critical programs that people depend upon will work. And it's going to be a fantastic future. And
It's gonna be a fantastic future.
are we going to get a lot of complaints along the way? Absolutely.
Revolution! Revolution! Revolution!
The fraudsters. It's a tell. These NGOs that are crazy, like the $2 billion to Stacey Abrams NGO that basically didn't exist, and suddenly gets $2 billion.
Stacey Abrams got $2 billion fucking dollars.
Their grade came from AC's 2023 infrastructure report card, and they're talking about different states for manufacturing. Mississippi is not that state.
No, but you know what? It's a great opportunity for this administration to identify the 4 states in the country with the highest population of black people. Target that state to drive manufacturing dollars and offer tax incentives for factories.
Oh, TC, wow.
Also ordered from the federal government. Which is why. And there are many such cases like that.
I think that most people, common sense.
Many such cases. We're not just talking about one, we're talking about hundreds.
Swats would say the fraud's got to end.
Yeah.
They're concerned about the
Not even hundreds, maybe thousands.
94-year.
These NGOs that are crazy, the programs that people depend upon, revolution. But at the end of the day, disruptive. Well, this is a revolution.
This is a revolution.
And I think it might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution. But at the end of the day,
hitting each other. I mean, it seems like it's pretty disruptive.
Well, this is a revolution.
This is a revolution.
And I think it might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution. But at the end of the day, America's going to be in much better shape. America will be solvent. The critical programs that people depend upon will work, and it's going to be a fantastic future. But are we going to get a lot of
Welcome back to the stage, little Trump.
complaints along the way? Absolutely. One of the things I learned at PayPal was you know who complains the loudest and with the most amount of fake righteous indignation? The fraudsters. It's a tell. These NGOs that are crazy, like the $2 billion to Stacey Abrams NGO that basically didn't exist, and suddenly gets $2 billion awarded from the federal government. Which is why. And there are many such cases like that.
I think that most people, common sense-wise, would say the fraud's got to end.
Yeah.
They're concerned about the 94-year-old mother who skips a check or somehow doesn't get what she's supposed to get.
Right. And what we're trying to say is actually that the 94-year-old grandmother is actually, as a result of Joe Doge's work, going to get her check. She's not going to be robbed by fraudsters like she's getting robbed today. And the solvency of the federal government will ensure that she continues to receive the Social Security checks, that Medicare continues to work, without which we're all doomed. And the reason we're doing this is because if we don't do it, America's going to go insolvent. We're going to go bankrupt. And nobody's
We're gonna go insolvent. We're gonna go bankrupt.
going to get anything.
And nobody's gonna get anything.
Why are you guys?
So that's an all or nothing statement, which actually shows what you might call cognitive distortion disorder. But he ain't wrong.
Right. And what we're trying to say is actually that the 94-year-old will work. And
it's pretty disruptive.
Well, this is a revolution.
This is a revolution.
And I think it might be the biggest biggest revolution in government since the original revolution.
The biggest revolution since the original revolution.
But at the end of the day, America's going to be in much better shape. America will be solvent. The critical programs that people depend upon will work, and it's going to be a fantastic future. But are we going to get a lot of complaints along the way? Absolutely. You know, one of the things I learned at PayPal was that
What you guys are, is that like a train hitting each other? I mean, it seems like it's pretty disruptive.
well, this is a revolution, and I think it might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution. But at the end of the day, America's going to be in much better shape. America will be solvent. The critical programs that people depend upon will work, and it's going to be a fantastic future. And we're going to get a lot of complaints along the way, absolutely. You know, one of the things I learned at PayPal was you know who complains the loudest? So it might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution. But at the end of the day, America's going to be in much better shape. America will be solvent. The critical programs that people depend upon will work, and it's going to be a fantastic future.
Okay, back to politically correct. Here we go.
The reason why I identified Mississippi in the first place is for all the reasons you guys mentioned. Not only is it one of the poorest states, it has some of the worst infrastructure, public.
But are we going to get a lot of complaints along the way? Absolutely. You know, one of the things I learned at PayPal was you know who complains the loudest and with the most amount of fake righteous indignation? The fraudsters. It's a tell. There's these NGOs that are crazy. Like the $2 million to Stacey Abrams NGO that basically didn't exist, and somebody gets $2 billion awarded from the federal government. Just why? And there are many such cases like that.
I think that most people, common sense-wise, would say the fraud's got to end.
Yeah.
They're concerned about the 94-year-old mother who skips a check or somehow doesn't get what she's supposed to get.
Right. And what we're trying to say is actually that the 94-year-old grandmother is actually, as a result of Joe Doge's work, going to get her check. She's not going to be robbed by fraudsters like she's getting robbed today. And the solvency of the...
What?
But it might be the...
Board of Doge, his administration, there was no departmental oversight.
Recently, effective do. But imagine your parents, it's your in-laws, it's your extended family.
Doge team targets you're a former oil company CEO.
A little bit, but I actually whatsoever.
Decades and decades.
Well, this is a revolution.
Alright, so I'm trying to get up on stage and politically correct, and I'm gonna blast in "This is a Revolution" by Elon Musk and reframe their entire 2-hour experience with one quick little jab by Elon Musk saying this is a revolution. It's gonna be so beautiful. This is essentially the culmination of my morning show. I hope you've enjoyed it all, but I'm gonna try to prank them real quick before I end the room with all of you lovely people. I hope you've enjoyed it.
And I think it might be the biggest revolution in government.